Dad decides to train like The Rock for 30 days, and the result is unreal. During his late 30s, Mark Webster had already accomplished many great things. He had a loving family, and everything was going well for his business ventures. He had recently sold a booking service to Groupon. Although things seemed to be perfect, Mark still felt like something was missing and that he needed a change. Back in his golden 20s, Mark was in perfect shape, but things changed when he became a dad. Though he had improved in the past couple of years, Mark wanted to really kickstart his fitness. All he needed was to come across the right inspiration. In early 2016, Mark came across some details about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That wasn't unusual, as Dwayne was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but Mark learned about the electrifying man's intense workout and diet routine. Mark took a long, hard look at himself in the mirror. He was no Dwayne Johnson, that was for sure, but maybe he figured if he borrowed some of the actor's rules and habits, he could take the dramatic physical leap he was looking for. Doctors gave Mark the green light to follow The Rock's footsteps. Dr. David L. Katz of the Yale Griffin Prevention Research Center explained, "It's intense, but that can be a good thing. As long as Mark knew what he was getting into, he'd be okay." Knowing that taking on too much at once would break him, Mark made himself a promise. He would follow The Rock's intense routine for 30 days, no exceptions. It was a tremendous plan, but would it be too hard to execute? It began immediately the next morning, as Mark woke to the new daily alarm set at 5 a.m. He groggily rolled out of bed, knowing he wouldn't be getting back under the sheets until 10 p.m., 17 hours later. Next, Mark had to hit the gym. Every morning for the next month would start with a serious workout. While Mark reviewed the list of exercises he would go through, it occurred to him that his body was going to feel very, very sore. Each session began with almost an hour of high-effort cardio. As if that weren't enough, Mark followed his cardio up with 90 minutes of lifting, with each day targeting a different muscle group. But Dwayne Johnson didn't build up his massive biceps solely by pumping iron. To develop that kind of muscle mass, he had to fuel his body with the proper amount of nutrients. Essentially, that came down to eating a ton of food. If Mark initially thought that eating a lot sounded like the perfect diet, he soon got a reality check. Though Mark's food intake was high, his plan limited him to bland, healthy food. For example, dinner was a plate of plain cod and steamed vegetables. Over and over again, Mark watched as his kitchen turned into an assembly line while he prepared massive batches of food that would help him make up the 7 meals he ate each day. Even then, Mark's menu wasn't complete. Before his early bedtime each night, Mark had to down a large whey protein shake. From the first post-workout bite to the final slurp, he took in 5,000 calories every day. Honestly, Mark had doubts as to whether he could keep this up. Aside from getting sick of fish, the diet drained Mark's bank account pretty quickly. The cod, which was the main ingredient of most meals, cost $7 per pound. This was, of course, no problem for Dwayne's movie star money, even though he ate about 821 pounds of cod every year. Mark, on the other hand, really had to sacrifice to make it work. Nevertheless, Mark kept eating his cod calories and setting personal records in the weight room. Like with any commitment, he could think of 1,000 reasons why he should quit, but deep down, he knew sticking to it would make him a better man. At long last, the 30th day of Mark's rock routine approached. He eagerly awaited the chance to gorge on some junk food and to sleep until a decent hour. But what he really looked forward to was the chance to analyze his final results. While Mark didn't bulk up anywhere near the level of Dwayne Johnson, which was fine, but he did manage to simultaneously slim down and pack on a ton of lean muscle. He wasn't the only one to notice the big improvement either. Through the sharing of his journey on social media, The Rock himself heard about Mark and was more than delighted to hear that someone took the same steps as him. So he congratulated Mark for coming such a long way. Hearing from Dwayne Johnson, the person that inspired him, gladdened Mark. He was incredibly grateful for his true supporters, his wife and daughter, and for his healthier life. Meeting this challenge is definitely a highlight in Mark's life.